let's say that you want to belong to a community that is dominantly homogeneous. Pretty much the only way you can do that in a big city in America is to either go to a church or a synagogue.
That's true.
I mean, that it is completely, racially, socially acceptable to go to a church or a synagogue that is 98% white. And there's no other organization at which that is socially acceptable.
That's
So
correct.
let's say you want to go belong to a community where being demonstrably gay is socially unacceptable. Your only alternative is to go to a church or a synagogue. Let's say you want to belong to a community where just guys get together, right? Pretty much your only option is to go to a church or a synagogue. Let's say you want a community where, guys meet regularly just with guys, and that your only choice is a church or a synagogue, or I assume a mosque. Let's say you just want to feel something, all right? So there was an article in The Onion about some atheist walking past listening to gospel music and wishing he could believe in some of that nonsense. Well, I mean, Christianity produces amazing music, amazing art, and amazing feelings. Like, people get a payoff when they go to church. It is meeting their needs for comfort. And so people want to feel alive. So when I was growing up as Seventh-day Adventist, our church services were stodgy. They didn't stay that way. Starting in the 1980s, there was this celebration movement where going to church was a lot like going to a rock concert. I mean, you really feel something, and you go to a rock concert, the ticket's going to set you back $100. But you go to a church, and you don't have to pay admission. You can experience all the things that people experience at a rock concert, but in a safer environment where people aren't doing drugs, and they're not, high on alcohol, and people aren't getting raped. So people want things that religion provides. People, may want to feel free of the diversity agenda. People may want to feel free from the homosexual agenda. People may want to feel free from the transsexual agenda. People may want to feel free from the assault of wokeism. People may just want to hang out with people like themselves. I don't know any more effective community formation than what's going on in organized religion in America.
The thing of it is, a lot of what goes on in organized religion in America is not subverting wokeism or promoting homogeneity or anything like that. A lot of churches today promote diversity to a very, shall I say, artificial degree, which is to say they want so much of it that it's not what people would ordinarily see on a day-to-day level based upon what one might call an organic lived experience. And then a lot of these churches are also pushing social justice through Jesus, which they're able to do for the reason I mentioned before. People can bend Christianity to be whatever they want. So it's really something that even a lot of churches today don't provide the refuge you mentioned, even though they certainly used to, by and large. I don't debate that at all. And in large cities today, it's basically your last hope, as you said, to find these more traditional things. And probably have to be in a church. I live in a community that's quite homogenous, and it definitely is not a religious community. But it's not to say there aren't religious people here, but the community itself is not based upon religion at all. And if guys want to hang out with other guys, they can go to the bar and do so. There are clubs for people to join based upon shared interests, in some cases something like heritage, something like that. So these things exist, but in certain areas. I don't live in a city. I live outside of one, so that's that probably is at least something to do with it. But there are still secular things that are available. But in most cities, the religion would be one's last chance at finding stuff like this, as Luke said. Even though I think less and less religions are offering the sort of environment nowadays.
Well, those religions that supported Donald Trump, such as evangelical Christians, certainly
Sure.
are offering this. I mean, I can go to pretty much any Orthodox synagogue, and it's socially unacceptable to be trans, and it's socially unacceptable to be out as a homosexual. And plenty of Orthodox synagogues I go to are essentially, 100% white. And so if people want that kind of homogeneity and that kind of barriers against wokeism, there are plenty of organized religions that will provide that. So just because there are woke churches and left-wing churches, people are not stuck with only those options. People can choose conservative churches. You don't have to believe anything. Plenty of people go to church and synagogue and do not believe in God. Plenty of people
That's
go to
correct.
church and synagogue, have no interest, zip, zero, zilch interest in theology or in anything religious. They go there because they have friends there. They like the community there. Like, where are you going to just walk into a ready-made, manufactured community? So many people I know would be, when they have to fill in that form for emergency contact, they don't really have someone. Many people I know, if they have to get to the hospital, they don't have anyone to give them a ride to the hospital. So many people I know, if they are hospitalized, they don't have any community that comes to visit them. People dying alone in their homes, completely unvisited for weeks at a time. That would not happen if you belong to a church or a synagogue. If I, God forbid, broke my leg right now and had to go to a hospital, you know, people in my religious community would come check on me. They would help me out. If I, you know, fell on hard times, I could turn to people in my community. If you lose a job, you turn to people in your community and you get a job. Many rabbis spend the majority of their time like getting jobs for people, getting apartments for people. People are much better off going to church rather than going to a bar. Now, there is community in a bar, but generally speaking, if you get together with your fellow Christians or fellow Jews, it's going to be a more elevated experience, less likely to tip you into some dangerous or dysfunctional behavior by participating in organized religion than going to a bar. Now, on the other hand, I absolutely recognize that some people are far better off going to a bar than going to church or a synagogue. It's complicated.